Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
Well, it really is. The boys of summer are almost getting ready to go. I'm Andrew Langer here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. This is O'Connor and Company. A good Friday morning to one and all, or as Patrice would say,
good Friday, Andrew.
Friday, and it's a good Friday indeed. That is Patrice Onwuka. So glad that she is joining me today. I'm joining her. This is Patrice's world. The rest of us are living in it. Listen, we got a great show coming up. I'm going to be joined by Horace Cooper later on today from Project 21 at the National Center for Public Policy Research. Phil Wegman, the White House correspondent for Real Clear Politics. Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation. And D.C. Attorney Denise Rucker-Krepp is going to join us as well. But joining us right now to talk about these crime issues is Sean Kennedy. I always love talking to Sean. He's president and chairman of Virginians for Safe Communities. Sean, are we seeing an uptick in crimes, violent crimes being done by young women? Is this something is this a trend?
I can't speak to whether or not it's more women, but we did see in Baltimore, where you and I, Andrew, have some experience.
Sure.
Where we saw a number of murder victims and perpetrators go up over the last few years that are women, particularly young women. So it wouldn't surprise me. But in the data, we don't have the gender breakdown on juveniles, but we do know anecdotally we're seeing a lot more incidents. This now very prominent incident of the golf club carjacking on Capitol Hill over the last few days was perpetrated, it looks like, by at least a few young girls. So there's definitely that. And famously, the incident over at Nats Park where the Uber driver was carjacked by a 12-year-old was committed by teenage girls. So there's definitely some increase in violence. And much of the not much, but some of the harassment and violence that has happened since the pandemic and George Floyd on the Metro is perpetrated by young girls. There's definitely it's a palpable sense that younger women are now sort of stepping into the void and going going towards violence and other criminal activity in the district.
Well, Sean, it's not surprising. I mean, obviously, if you're a young person and you see other people getting away with crimes, you feel emboldened. And then when you start to do it, you feel even more emboldened and you step up your aggression. But it seems like maybe there's a turning of the corner in D.C. Can you talk to us about what the U.S. Attorney is looking at charging juveniles?
Yeah, I think it's important to start out because I think a lot of people don't understand that the district has a very peculiar criminal justice system. It has a attorney general who operates like you would say a local district attorney, but he only prosecutes misdemeanors, juvenile offenses, and does civil litigation like a state attorney general would, while the federal government, through the U.S. attorney, does adult felonies. So their jurisdiction is only of people who are over the age of 18 or who have been petitioned to be transferred to adult court. So what you're referring to, Mercedes, just came out yesterday in the Washington Post, was that the U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves, who's come under great fire, justifiably so, for dropping 2/3 of all the cases that the police put forward to him, is now charging a series of teens involved in carjackings and robberies who are 17 and 16 with adult crimes, because now they go under his jurisdiction, not the Attorney General of Washington, D.C., who, as I've written recently, is problematic.
Right. And we're going to get into that in a second, Sean. I want you to listen to this. Fox 5 did an interview with the guy who was carjacked. I want to get your reaction to this. Mike, let's go ahead and play the clip.
And 2 of the 5 suspects are actually 13-year-old girls. Why didn't you just give them your car?
Why give anybody my car free?
Here.
What?
But isn't your life, brother, is your life worth more than the car?
Me?
Yes.
But I will try for the kids and for the guys, okay? This help someone the community. Maybe next time he cannot go for another driver or third driver or fourth driver or five drivers.
You're saying so they won't be able to allegedly carjack anyone else?
Yes. Why?
Right. Sean, I mean, for me, listen, I always hate this idea. Well, listen, just give up your wallet. I kind of understand that. But this guy's clearly worked hard for his car. I mean, your thoughts on this clip there, Sean?
I mean, the hesitance is understandable. It's also, I would say, ill-advised. In the case of the golf club girls, it may seem, oh, well, they're just going to hit me with a golf club, but you don't know if they're armed or whatnot. And tragically, another Lyft driver, not only a few blocks from where this golf club incident occurred, was murdered earlier this summer in July. It was a U.S.-Afghan military interpreter.
That's right.
And that was done by gun. And it was done also by young juveniles. They appear from the Ring camera footage that was shot of the incident. They appear to be 11 years old, 11, 12 years old. Those kids aren't even 5 foot tall.
Wow.
And they're carrying firearms. So, I mean, you don't know what is under someone's clothes. I would not advise anyone,
right,
even someone who's armed, to take that risk. Your property is not worth your life.
Got it. Well, let's talk about this. So you referenced this the Washington's Attorney General, DC's Attorney General, putting politics before public safety. Tell us all about that.
Well, I wrote a piece in City Journal, which is the Manhattan Institute's magazine, and the piece basically lays out the fact that Brian Schwab, who was elected last year as the new D.C. Attorney General, is now investigating the head of the Federalist Society, Leonard Leo, for supposed financial crimes related to some C4s and transferring money to public relations firms where he has business interests or whatnot. And the complaint was filed by something called the Campaign for Accountability, which is funded by the Soros Network. Yeah. So he's complaining that Leonard Leo is getting billionaires' dark money, and it's being funded by a complaint from another billionaire's dark money. So it's sort of the deep irony of the thing. So Brian Schwab took up this complaint and is now investigating Leonard Leo, according to the Politico report. And the problem is he has no jurisdiction. This is, if anything, a federal crime because these charities are registered not in D.C. The crimes happened outside of D.C. They would be wire crimes and tax fraud crimes if they were crimes whatsoever. There's no evidence there are, but that's the complaint alleges. And Brian Schwab is now doing this. So he's spending time and resources going after Leonard Leo. And anyone who's familiar with the law and any kind of litigation like this, these kind of investigations are huge. They take a massive amount of man hours to do the discovery process and go through these documents.
Right.
It's not some rinky-dink thing where you have two paralegals looking through emails. This is a big deal. So he's spending time and resources to do that instead of prosecuting juvenile offenders who are under his jurisdiction. He has the right to prosecute juvenile offenders. That's why the U.S. attorney has to take them away, is because he's not. And we've seen time and time again where juvenile offenders are let go in D.C. and then go on to commit other more egregious crimes. There was one incident
like beating up a guy with a golf club, right, Sean?
Yeah,
exactly. I am confident these girls have at least encountered the police. They were known to the police, and that they've been brought to social services or whatnot, and there were no consequences for their illegal actions. Even if they weren't arrested, they were brought back to their parents. And in many jurisdictions, they cannot be arrested. If they're under the age of 11 or 12 in many states, they cannot even be arrested. They could be taken into custody. So there was no juvenile arrest that occurred. They were taken into custody. And that's actually what's important here is an 11-year-old earlier in May was arrested for 2 robberies and an aggravated assault. That's a violent attack that causes bodily injury. That's what an aggravated assault is. It's not punching someone in the face. And so he hurt someone bad. They dropped the charges. 11 days later, this same 11-year-old carjacked a delivery driver trying to steal his motorbike in a truck and threatened to kill the guy. This same kid should have been in jail or at least been detained, and Brian Schwab didn't do it. And at the same time that this is happening,
Sean, unfortunately, we got to leave it there. So folks want to go. I want them to go and check that out. Thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Sean.
Sean Kennedy, President and Chairman of Virginians for Safe Communities.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you, Murphy.
Take care.